Yeah, that was me throwing cards. I'm addicted to it, but Jamie won't let me do it in the shop. I think I need a baby. We were at Comic-Con last year, and Jamie and I are sitting at the signing table for the autographs, and this baby gets plopped down in front of me wearing a onesie. These guys are probably here. That says, "Proof that nerds have sex." Everyone, I'm like, "Oh, look at that, that's really cute." I take a picture with it, and someone in line goes, "Hey, you should sign the baby." And someone else goes, "Sign the baby." And all of a sudden the crowd's like, "Sign the baby!" Okay, sign the baby. I sign the baby's onesie, and I push the baby over to Jamie, and Jamie says, "What? Sign the baby?" Okay, starts signing the baby, starts crying immediately. So I say, "Stop pressing so hard." And the thing is about baby jokes is nobody thinks they're funny when there's a baby actually there. I have two 11-year-olds, and one of them's always been like 20 or 30% bigger than the other. And when they were babies, they're really quite different size. And people say, "Why are they different size?" And I say, "It's a long-term experiment. We're feeding him more." And then they start to feel like it's okay to laugh. Yes?
So, as a fellow father and a person who's in a science role in a teaching show, what do you see as a big important factor as the future of science and education as it comes out of the schools more and more?
Well, you know, we had the honor of being invited by President Obama late last year to attend a speech he gave on his STEM initiative, science, technology, engineering, and math. Obama is working with different large private industry entities like the Discovery Channel, Headrush, which is airing on school days from 4 to 5 on Wednesdays, commercial-free Mythbusters. That's part of the STEM initiative. Obama believes, and we totally agree, that getting kids interested in it is one of the most important things. Getting kids realizing that their brains can grasp and critically look at a problem in front of them rather than it's something that's being dictated to them. And, you know, one of the most humbling aspects of this job is the fact that we've become considered educators of some kind. You know, we speak at the California State Science Teachers Association, and we've spoken at the National Science Teachers Association conventions, and the thing that I realized is, and I think this is what resonates with kids, is that we're not a demonstration show. And I love Bill Nye, and I loved Mr. Wizard, Don Herbert, but those were demonstration shows, and a lot of times I was left cold because sometimes the demonstration just didn't quite resonate to me. I didn't understand, or I didn't see, or it wasn't really clear. And it's hard when you know how a concept works to communicate it to someone who doesn't. And you know, one of the things about me and Jamie is we don't know how the concept works. We're figuring it out as we go along. And I think that's the most important thing that we've shown to people is that science is messy, and you can come to your own conclusion on it, and you can occasionally do things that no one's ever thought of before. I would not have. When we started doing this show, when we shot the first pilots, I would not have imagined that we would do several firsts. Like we'd be the first people to capture someone breaking a wine glass with their voice on video, or that we'd be the first to make a lead balloon, or the first to slide down a really ridiculously long water slide. The second scariest thing I've ever done. The first just happened a couple weeks ago. Remember Underwater Car? Yeah. How many people's worst fantasy is being in a car sinking in the water? Yeah, so, you know, it's not mine. I was totally cool with that whole experiment, sinking in the car in the water, like, you know, under controlled circumstances. But one of the things that turns out is that cars, when they go in the water, most of them actually do what's called turning turtle. Their front hits the water and starts to sink, and the car's momentum carries it upside down, and the car sinks upside down. So we decided to revisit that. And I'm not going to give away what happens in the episode. I live. And all of these safety procedures that Jamie and I thought through and put in place, everything worked perfectly. It still was the most terrifying thing I've ever done, and I've told my mom, this episode will air and you're never allowed to see it. My mom will have a nervous breakdown when she watches this. Absolutely. credentials, and so she's not allowed to see it. Yes.
I heard you when you were on the Nerdist podcast live doing stand-up. Do you have any plans to do stand-up comedy again because you were awesome?
Oh, thank you. I do have plans to do stand-up comedy again. In fact, oh my gosh, so that whole thing on the Nerdist podcast, Chris Hardwick's become a good friend of mine, and he's really sweet and also funny. And it's also easy to be funny when Chris is sitting behind you laughing hysterically. And that whole routine I did was all about talking to my sons about sex. My sons are 11 years old, so we're just about to get into the thick of that. In fact, actually, one of the problems I'm having right now from a standpoint of material is that they're giving me tremendous volumes of awesome material that I really am not going to embarrass them with until I think they're emancipated, honestly. I think I owe them that. It's so good though, Over a couple of drinks, I'll tell the story, but not in public for a while. Yes, I do have plans to do more stand-up. So many of my favorite people, my favorite performers are stand-ups. There's a saying that good stand-up comedians always make good actors, but good actors don't always make good stand-up comedians, which is a mark that stand-up comedy is a higher art form. I think stand-up comedians are the ones making that argument. But it is in my intrepid desire to collect skills and place myself in uncomfortable situations to learn more about myself in them. Stand-up comedy is a key in my plans of the future, so there will be more. Yes?
You have done some collaborative shows on the West Coast with Paul and Storm and a bunch of other people called Woodstock. Right. How did you get involved in that, and when are you going to be bringing them east?
Wait, what was the last question?
When are you going to bring them east? So for those of us that can't travel.
Well, the problem with bringing it here is that Paul and Storm and Jonathan Colton and Will are all up at PAX. And they love their PAX, and they're not going to come down here on Labor Day weekend. Woodstock. Okay, no, they might come down. They've grown to love it a lot up there right now. I hope they'll come back. Woodstock started when Paul and Storm were actually thinking about doing some dates in San Francisco, and they thought they might be able to get more of a draw if I was involved. And I did about 10 minutes of material, 15 minutes material to open their set at the Swedish American Club in San Francisco. And after that, they started thinking, and they asked me if I'd be interested in codifying this into some sort of regular thing. They also asked Will, and we all agreed that we love this idea, and it's morphed into beyond all of our expectations. We are looking at I think 7 or 8 dates this fall around the East Coast, Denver, Austin, all over the place. Those will be announced really soon. Will might not make it to all of those shows because of other things going on, but we're looking at some guest wills. It's very exciting. How many people here have been to a Woodstock? 5 or 6. We're hoping to get some more saturation over the next year. It is tremendous amounts of fun for us. We really and also we get to hang out with some of our favorite people in the world, hang out backstage. I spent all of Woodstock in Minneapolis talking to Neil Gaiman about beekeeping. And then he tweets that he thinks he was boring. I'm like, that's, wow, okay. Yes.
Smiley, you're on candid camera, number 1. And I want to ask about Buster. Now, Buster's been shot at, blown up, set on fire, and dropped from the sky. How many Busters have y'all gone through?
Well, it's hard. There's actually a Church of Buster. He's been resurrected so many times for your knowledge. How many Busters is an almost impossible question to answer. The original Buster I actually obtained from a still desiring to be unnamed government agency back in the fall of 2002. He arrived, he's a hybrid 3 crash test dummy. And